G'day, I'm Mark from Self-Sufficient Me, and about 6 months ago I planted a bunch of different types of onions in this one raised garden bed here, all together. And in this video I'm going to harvest those onions and we'll see what we can get from all those different varieties, which ones grew best, which ones grew worst, which ones brought tears to my eyes after all this hard work. Let's get into it. Actually, I have a confession to make. We've had a whole heap of rain this last month. For some reason, I initially was going to harvest these a month ago, but then I forgot about them, so it should be interesting to see what we've got left. Also, off the top of my head, because it's an impromptu video, I haven't done my research and I can't remember exactly what the onion types were. If I look a little bit disheveled, that's just because I've been whippersnipping in the garden this morning and I'm a bit hot and sweaty and covered in grass. Plus it's really hot. Also, I knocked this up real quick just to show you how easy it is to knock up a quick drying rack. Now this framework here was an old table. It was given to us by the in-laws and I ripped the top off it. We already had a dining table and I thought, you know what, this would make a perfect drying rack to lay some wire across. In this case it's just some galvanized chicken wire, nice and fine. Zip tied it on, cut it to length, stretched it out for these onions here. Once we harvest them, let them to cure in the sun. And now just quickly before I do get into harvesting them, let me give you a rundown on how I started these off and planted them. The garden bed was prepared a long time ago with a cow manure, and apart from a couple of varieties that I planted a little later, the rest of these were sown by seed in seed raising trays, and then I transplanted them out in rows into the garden bed. At the end of the day, it all looks a bit ad hoc now, but initially they were spaced out, and then I made sure that, of course, I kept watering them until they were well established, and then after that I only watered the bed when necessary. I especially didn't overwater, because if you do that you can rot the onions. And that's pretty much the setup. So now let's get into harvesting and see what we got. Okay, there we go. First one. These are really past their harvesting time. Like I said, often you will harvest them a lot earlier than this, perhaps a month earlier, still have some green tops, and then you'll let them die off and cure. See if there's any bigger ones than this. Ooh, drop one there. Nice. Oh, it's a good start. I'm really surprised. That's a good sized onion. It's firm. It's almost cured itself sitting in the bed. But I really do want it to die off and get scalded in some good summer heat before we take them inside and keep them in the pantry. Bloomin' March flies. It's not even March. There you go, there's 3 good ones. Oh yeah, this one here is a purple variety. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it's a decent bulb. You see the purple tinge? Right here is a bunching onion. I think they call it a potato onion or something like that. That bottom one there has gone rotten. And that's the problem on harvesting too late, especially in the subtropics. They can go rotten real quick on you. So is that one. That one's okay. Put them there, break them up. They're just bulbs that grow together. If they've got some leaves on them, that's good. they'll just start to die off now that they're pulled and sitting in the sun. Look at that. Good size, nice and oblong. They'll be good in salads. 1, 2, 3, 4 in that bunch. I'll do some weeding as I go. If you suddenly think I'm starting to look a little bit pale, it's because I've just put a whole heap of sunscreen on my face and in my hair. Quick funny story, we were at the beach the other day and my youngest said, "Dad, why are you putting sunscreen in your hair for?" I said, "Well, it's the only way I can reach my bald spot." Fair income. Top of my head gets sunburnt now. It's a sad day when you realise that your hair can't protect the top of your head. Anyway, let's keep harvesting. Now when I'm putting these down, I'm sort of trying to spread them out. I don't want to put them on top of each other. I want to give them as much air and space as possible. And that's the reason why for this mesh over the top, so that you can get that aeration going and it limits the chances of them rotting after you've picked them and them curing better. I've done my best through this whole season to weed the bed, but when you're growing onions it is difficult because they're a sparse crop. You tend to get weeds around them and through them, and you just got to keep your best effort in and weed around them as often as possible so that the weeds don't take all the nutrients away from the onion as they grow. That's massive. Jeeps. There we go, getting there. And I'll do the rest of that weeding later, but pretty much cleaned out the bed now, and now I'll just refurbish it and plant some summer crops in there. But here you go. I'm pleasantly surprised seeing that again I've stuffed up, and you can see that even through a stuff up of harvesting too late, you know, we didn't get too many rotten ones. We got a number, maybe a dozen, but we've still got a table full of different types of onions that we can use in salads, that we can cook with, make curries, whatever. I'm very happy with the result. I think the best performers for this heat were the Texan. I'll be growing them again, that's for sure. And I think those oblong ones here, but yeah, I'll have more of a evaluation on these later as I look back. But essentially, I'm pretty impressed with this. We're going to have onions now for several months, and we'll let them cure in the sun. If it rains, I'll put them under cover somewhere and then bring them back out. But a few days in the sun is going to cure them off, dye them off, and then they'll be ready for storage. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big oblong purple onion thumbs up. Share the video around because it helps my channel out heaps, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye for now. Cheers. Bloody crows. They're hanging around because they're thinking I'm going to faint in this subtropical heat, and then they're going to peck my eyes out. Well, it's not going to happen.